time to go. Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Carla, could you please do the roll?
Robert Mueller,
Here.
Dina Kreitler, Jan Bruns,
Here.
Beth Caldwell, Stephanie Grominger,
Here.
Kelly Fowler, Laura Oliver,
Here.
Michael Hankins,
Here.
Kathleen Waltz,
Here.
Tom Couch. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. I think you all have the agenda in front of you. I think we need to add one item that I forgot under new business, and that is if you recall, last year we established June as our annual meeting at which we elect a chair and vice chair, so we need to, under new business, add election of chair and vice chair. Are there any other additions to the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to accept the changes.
Mike?
And the agenda as stated.
Second.
Kathleen seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Martin, I guess you're up next.
Okay. For those of you who have been out of town or having a little last not paying attention, there is a new director of tourism for the city of St. Genevieve, and she is Sandra Cabot.
Good morning, everyone.
Sandra, most of you know. Is there someone here you don't know?
No.
Okay.
This was the most recent new friend.
So we're not going to do a round table thing. Sandra was working at the university at SEMO and has a lot of experience in marketing, and actually we turn to her from time to time for assistance in, for instance, with the how to write a press release program. She directed that. So when she became available, it was decided that we should take the opportunity to bring her on board, and pleased to have her. Off mark the other day after we had a meeting, how impressed he was with her enthusiasm and desire to get a lot of things done. I cautioned her to go more slowly, make sure she can take on more than one person to get done in a day, but she does have enthusiasm. It's a smart kind of group. I think will add a lot to increasing the credibility of our tourism activities. You heard this lecture before, but the city takes money out of general revenue and spends it to promote tourism. We do it in cooperation with the Tourism Tax Commission, the stewards of the dead tax money. We hope that will always be a cooperative, coordinated effort so we can get the best bang for our buck. But that's money that, in terms of the city's general revenue, it could be spent on other needs that the city has. And I know at times there are people sitting in their living room, saying, instead of paying for tourism, maybe we ought to fix that sidewalk or fix that pothole. So it's a priority decision for the Alderman and a commitment because they believe, and I think we believe, that that's an investment that will bring a return that fixing a pothole does not. You can't not fix your pothole, because then the tourists will never come back. But there's a proper balance, and we wish we had more resources to do more. We do what we can with what we have. But it's important that the activities we undertake are viewed in the eyes of the citizens whose dollars are spending as being credible. And that's why you exist, and that's why we formally organized the Tourism Advisory Council, gave it standing in the city codes, and we have bylaws by which you operate. And your efforts in guiding Sandra and me and the city, I think, are the key for our tourism division to have credibility political legitimacy. So, so I take it seriously. I know you take it seriously, and I think with Sandy, we further take steps to ensure that the citizens believe we do the right thing. That's actually
Well, there should definitely be an economic return on this investment. It's some things that, sometimes it's a little hard to measure, but in terms of increased sales tax revenue, lodging tax revenue, those are the things that can return to the city. And it's also the visitors coming into town that eat at our restaurants, shop at our stores, and visit our historic homes, and stay in our B&Bs and lodging, and that's where we get benefits from this. So, well, welcome aboard, Sandra.
Thank you.
Look forward working with you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Question. When would be an appropriate time during the meeting to ask a few questions about the process of determination of Stephanie and hiring of Stephanie?
You can ask, but I can't answer it because it was handled in closed session by the Board of Aldermen, bound by state law, not to discuss that which takes place in closed session.
However, this body could vote to go into a closed session itself to discuss a personnel matter, and then while we may not have the official answers, we can certainly have the discussion and ask the questions.
Well, my big question is, and maybe this will be a simple answer, and no disrespect towards you at all, people have been coming up to me asking me, you're on the Tourism Advisory Council, what happened? I'm like, I knew nothing. It was as much a surprise to me as it was maybe to other people. I don't know, did I miss something? I mean, was everybody else privy to this?
Kathy suggesting a closed session.
The question is, can we go into closed session?
I can't answer that.
I can tell you that the advisory council can still say, that I even the tourism can say, over the hiring or firing of an employee in the city. That is done through the alderman. The mayor doesn't have a say, he only has a voice if it's a tie vote or something.
Okay, so the question people are asking me is, was it your decision?
It's not our, it's not.
It would have been the alderman and city administration? I just want to have an answer for people when they ask me.
Yeah.
Okay.
The advisory council is an advisory council formed for the purpose of providing direction for the expenditure of the funds that the city commits to promote tourism.
Okay.
You don't have any responsibility for personnel, nor do the Board of Aldermen.
Really?
We don't have any say over person, we have no power over.
Now, the mayor could have said he should seek the council of the tourism advisory council, or committee, in making his decision. He didn't. And there's nothing in your bylaws that suggests you should be involved.
Okay. Thanks. I just want to know what to tell people when they ask. So, okay, thank you.
Okay. Next item is approval of minutes of the previous meeting. I think you all have a copy of that.
Yeah, just put the staple on it.
If there aren't any changes or corrections to the minutes, I move they be accepted.
Kathleen made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Stephanie? Any comments, discussion? All in favor, Michael?
Can, under, let's say, new business, maybe have a discussion on some of these items, for the benefit of Sandra, because she wasn't privileged to any of this. and-
Are you referring to the agenda?
Yeah,
Okay.
not the, yeah, when I'm referring to the minutes, that there's a lot of things in here that Stephanie was gonna do this and thus and so. We're gonna approve the minutes, but I'm just asking under discussion, could we bring that up? It
Okay.
won't be under the agenda,
Okay,
okay? Thank you.
very good. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Sandra, I guess you're next.
Okay. Well, I have some specifics that I want to get into under new business items that Bob has asked me to cover. I just want to tell the advisory council that I'm very much looking forward to working with all of you. I'm looking forward to working with all the shop owners, the businesses downtown, the restaurants, and in particular, accepting their input and listening to what their needs and concerns are, and rolling that up into having an impact on our tourism efforts. I have been very honored and I realize that there are a lot of challenges ahead of me. But I told the mayor the other day when he called me and he said, well, are you fed up already? And I said, no, I'm knocking down challenges just as fast as they pop up, and I'm looking forward to getting more into some of the strategic and visionary aspects of what I see as the potential for the position. And I'll get into that a little bit later. But one thing that I want to make sure that we're really emphasizing is that the Welcome Center is always welcoming, that it provides that kind of an environment, and that we as employees, all of the staff of the Welcome Center, are consistent in the way that we view and greet and treat guests coming into the Welcome Center, the way that we work with people over the phone, the way that we correspond, and also the way that we interact with the business owners in the community. And so I am reviewing all of those procedures and developing some protocols and working with the staff to make sure that we're doing the very best that we can. And always, if you have any suggestions, I'm always open to your suggestions. And looking forward to, improving some of the aspects of the operations as well as really the marketing program. My background is very strong on the marketing aspects and the business management aspects, and even more than that, I think that community relations is something that I want to really focus on, and business relations, and just working with the advisory committee as well as the local businesses.
Okay. Did you have a handout? Or were you?
Yes, that would
Norm?
come a little bit later.
Yeah, but did you have like I thought I saw the metrics, or was that old data?
That was old data.
Okay. I guess by next meeting, you'll get into the reporting mode.
Right,
Yeah.
right, with the
You have
data.
something ready for us?
I kind of heard that you guys were sort of fed up with lots of data, so I figured maybe you could use a data break.
Did you decide at some point it was not going to be a monthly report on that?
No, there were some metrics that we only look at quarterly, because they only become available quarterly.
Okay.
Because of tax stuff, we're still interested in seeing visitors to the Welcome Center and passport sales and that sort of thing, because we want to look at trends. You don't want to wait 3 months on some of those to.
Google Analytic report?
Yeah,
Is that going to be monthly?
It's a very easy report to do.
Okay.
Again, that's one of those charts that we can look at trending to see if things are getting better or we need to.
Well, let
or
me
we need to
just
tweak.
ask if the Tourism Advisory Committee or council members are interested in seeing Google metrics every month, or would you prefer to see those every other month? I had heard that there was an overwhelming amount of Google Analytics presented at this meeting, and that maybe that wasn't necessary. So please tell me by show of hands if you want Google Analytics report every month, or if you would prefer that to maybe be every other month. Do you have an opinion?
Yeah.
Every other is good? Okay, okay.
Okay.
Definitely the visitor center, for Welcome Center, visitor counts and whatever we were getting from Stephanie in those couple of
Yeah.
pages, that I think should be every month. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
And I forget, can't remember now what all it is.
Well, there was tours, adults and children.
The passport
passports,
sales.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Adults and children, Welcome Center visitors. I think that was,
nice to see every
yeah.
month. And compare it to the same month in previous years.
Yeah,
from
well,
last year.
Yeah, we haven't,
Okay.
I know one of the goals was to increase, like tour buses. That might be a metric that we establish down the road to see how we're doing in terms of formal tour groups coming in. But I don't know if you've seen the
Oh,
metric
yes.
charts yet.
Oh, yeah. I've reviewed all of those. I'm in the process of reviewing all those.
Okay. So we'll review Google Analytics every other month, see Welcome Center metrics on a monthly basis, and then those other ones are on a quarterly. We usually, every 3 months, we do an evening meeting to allow more citizens to come if they want, and that's typically the month that we review those charts.
And do you experience more people coming to those evening meetings?
Not really. I think we only have one, yeah.
Maybe if you do a little more promotion about the meeting itself, a little press release to the paper or Channel 7 or both, maybe we will get more citizens.
Okay.
We just had one in
May, so August.
So now, let me just get this straight. So the, I understand the Google Analytics every other month, the Welcome Center.
Stats and sales.
Stats, things like that, every month. Now, what is it that you're wanting quarterly?
Well, the quarterly ones are like lodging, restaurants, kind of the general sales tax stuff that you saw. Trying to remember what else is on there. There's downtown shops, tourism tax receipts. Again, those go quarterly because people can either,
That's when they report.
well, they can either do it monthly or quarterly. And so we don't really have a good trend number until the end of the quarter. Okay. Are there any citizens to be heard?
Yes. Not that I follow that. Yes. I think it's just passive.
I think the answer's solid.
Yes.
Get to be my age, you gotta be able to get up and move if the bones don't complete.
So, you may have read, and, or otherwise heard, that the city is pursuing a program for the revision of the comprehensive plan. That was And not going into too much detail, we aren't rewriting the comprehensive plan. It was structured according to a format pretty universally applied in communities across the country. And it follows this land use model that actually was prescribed by the federal government at one point in the 70s. But it doesn't, the city hasn't changed such that we have to go in and talk about different land use patterns or major changes to the transportation system. There's some things in there we might tweak. But my goal is, and we had a committee of citizens who met with us to chart this direction, was to make it more of a strategic plan. And instead of a document that sits on the Mark Toma shelf and gets referred to from time to time, to engage the community in establishing goals and directions and coming up with objectives and figuring out who in the community is important stakeholders and implement those objectives and getting those people to commit to the plan so that the objectives that we identify become part of that institutional organization's thought-making process and decision-making process, and then have a way to measure after we've adopted this plan periodically how we're doing in achieving our goals. And while there were some goals and things established in the old plan, there was no identification of a timetable or what actors are necessary to get involved in achieving the things that were established. So that's ultimately the goal. And the first step in that goal is to ask the citizens of St. Genevieve what they want, what they think. That's what this is. This is the survey that we have put together for the purpose of soliciting that information. Every group I go to, I'm giving it to them. Some have seen it already. John's seen it, Stephanie's seen it, so and other, but so you don't have to worry about it. We'll be seeing it. We'll build it out. But for those of you who haven't seen it or filled it out, please take the time to do so. And you can either do it with this form, or now you can go to SurveyMonkey and fill it out online. If you return this form to us, filled out, we will enter that data in SurveyMonkey for you, because we're going to use their analysis to assimilate the information and report out on it. So please do that. And if you have any advice as to how we can get this disseminated and filled out next 60 days, 90 days, I would appreciate hearing those. I'll go to wherever the group comes together, or I'll knock on people's doors if necessary. Tish Johnson from the Extension Office set the goal. She said, we got 100 responses to our survey, so that's our challenge, is to beat her. So far, not well on the way to it. Help me out.
So where do they return them? City Hall?
City
or
Hall.
Is there any other?
I'm going to put them at the library, and at the banks agreed, and the hospitals agreed, and maybe if I can get the Country Mart to agree to put them out with a box. So we're gonna distribute them as widely as we can, and promote people filling it out on the website.
Kathy?
Martin, would you address the most important thing I think I ever heard you say about the comprehensive plan, how it impacts the ability of the city to get grants in the future?
Well, it's two things. One is whenever the city makes a land use decision, in order for it to withstand the challenge, that decision must be consistent with the comprehensive plan. So that's, courts have recognized the comprehensive plan as the fundamental document that would justify future decisions, and should the city decisions ever be challenged. But, as Kathy's pointing out, when I fill out one I just filled out was a transportation enhancement grant for a trail from Parkwood to Progress Parkway, kind of give some kind of pedestrian connection to the community center. And I had to answer that question, is whether or not this trail was consistent with our comprehensive plan. And had I said no, or had I said we don't have one, I would not have stood as good a chance, and probably very little chance, of getting that highly competitive grant. So that's why we need one. That's why you need to update it. And for my purposes, we need to structure it so that it's a useful document, right? And guides the community in a direction that is dictated to us by the citizens.
How does this comprehensive plan that we have now compare or agree with when we were in '94?
Can't answer that.
I gave my copy to her.
As soon as I finish going through those steps.
I just wondered, in '94, they came here, Glenn Weaver was from the University of Michigan, and they were invited by the Chamber of Commerce, and he spoke and did all these things, and he did a comprehensive plan that the city accepted. And it was on tourism. And I just wondered how we fared in our comprehensive plan now. Going to give you this job. Once you get back to look at
You know, as soon as I get my hands on it, I'll read it.
Okay, I only have.
I'm not sure the level of analysis you like. but
No,
I'll take a look
I
at it.
just wondered, because he gave us some goals and some things that he thought we should do as a community for tourism to strengthen and build on it. Some of the things we have done, there's a lot of things we've done. And I just wondered about,
Does the city not have a copy of that?
I haven't seen it in here.
I bet Sue knows where it is, okay?
I think read that.
Okay, and Brenda has a copy. Let's save up and make copies, so there's not just one paper copy of this important document. And then you can have one, and Sandra can have one, and
We can scan it.
Scan it in.
Yeah.
That's 1993 dollars.
1994. Well, here's several things that stood out. One of the things he said, tourism, if you want, whatever you have to sell in this community, you can go 30 miles north, 30 miles south, 30 miles west, you won't talk about going across the river, that's not feasible. And they can buy the product, except one thing you have that no one else in the country has, and that's French colonial historic heritage. He said you should sell that above all other things, because they can't buy it anywhere else, and they can't get it anywhere else. They said, you want to buy clothing, you want to buy books, you want to buy trinkets, you can buy them anywhere, but you cannot.
Well, we've heard that repeated.
Yeah, and that was the one thing that he said, that really struck home. But he had a lot of things that he said in there that we have done. One of them is the signage that we just recently put up. He was talking about that.
It's falling down.
We'll talk about
For
that.
years, and we just never really got that. The other one was possibly the kiosk around town for people in Europe and some places like St. Louis down in Louisiana, places like that, where they can walk up to it and they can see, oh, you're having an event this weekend. I didn't know that. And where I can go to do what I want to do anything. Or it's coming next weekend, maybe I'll come back. But those are the things.
I think what's important as we put this whole new comprehensive plan together, tourism, a part of it, as you say, there's a lot of other parts too, is the establishment of actions and who's going to implement those actions. And that's always what makes a plan successful, not just doing the plan. So, good. I encourage you all to fill this out. There's a lot of questions. It doesn't take that much time, but we need your input, as the city needs your input. And I think you're planning to do some focus groups after this is put,
Yeah.
the results are back.
The steering committee, we talked about focus groups, we talked about what to do, and coincidentally, with the survey, the decision was made, the survey should guide the formation and questions that focus groups concentrate on. So, once we've completed the survey, then we look forward to maybe 2 or 3 focus groups to address specific issues that are raised by the survey results.
Okay.
The survey is not going to be anyone lay their hands on a copy or get on the computer and encourage to fill it out.
You'll see we have some demographics in the back, or there's, do you live in the county, work in the city? We can separate all that data out and look at it different ways.
Because the city is more than what takes place within its incorporated limits.
Okay, thank you, Martin. Let's go on to old business, removal of old signage. Guess we had a meeting of the sign committee and identified signs to be removed. Has that process started?
Yes, the list was given to the Public Works Department, and they will remove them as we speak. They haven't taken it on as a project, it's kind of like when we're doing work, and they won't take that one. But they'll all be down with it.
Okay. And you indicated we had a little problem with our new signs.
Yeah, notwithstanding high winds.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 signs that, the flathead bowl that's holding them on has a head that isn't quite large enough to support it. So these dive-bowl signs are just a piece of hard plastic sandwiched between 2 pieces of a veneer of metal. And it's the winds that this thing moves back and forth and bolts it with material. So I've got a call into the sign, got to paint them. way of attaching these signs to the pole, so they're more resistant to power.
Is part of that because of the height of the sign also? We had some discussion about them as poles.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe, that 7-foot height was prescribed by the Department of Transportation. And it's for clearance for people who are walking under them. And I question whether all their signs are 7 feet high, but is that right? I realize they are. They're abiding by their own rules.
Okay, any other questions on that? Okay, listing of St. Genevieve entities on visitmo.com. I just want to pass these out. When we started talking about this in January, we had 33 groups listed, or businesses on, when you Google St. Genevieve, not Google, but search St. Genevieve on visitmo.com. We're now up to 49. Some recent additions that you saw on there, some of the galleries, shops, the chambers on there. We got the farmers market. I know that O'Deal's Linen and Lace and the Ferry are still, they've been submitted, but haven't been approved yet. And I kind of listed some other places that I'd like to see, or we should work with those businesses to get them on there, to get a better presence. Once you get on there, I mean, there's a very basic thing, but then you can come back and put pictures and things like that. So I think it's, again, a good way to advertise St. Genevieve. Certain kinds of businesses can end up in the annual booklet, and they print about 300,000 of those. So it's still a good way to move forward, and it's not that difficult, and we just got to work with the businesses to get it there.
If we put the museum on there, we might have to do it the same way that we do the chamber, because it's a not-for-profit, and they were going to charge the chamber for our real estate, but we worked around it.
I mean, like all the other sites are not charged, I mean, like the historic homes. So, yeah. That's one I think we definitely need to get on there.
Yeah.
The museum is really under advertised. The other thing, just was down at St. Mary Antique Mall a couple of Sundays ago, that we were lined 6 deep in 2 rows. There's a lot of people there. We got to get our brochure down there for some reason.
It wasn't there.
I didn't see it, but I think we ought to advertise them and then get our advertising in there.
And this, the presence on visitmo.com, to me, is kind of the tip of the iceberg, and it ties into an initiative that I want to do with the businesses that I'll talk about a little bit later, in terms of all of their online presences. If you go to Google Maps today, you would not see very many businesses that have claimed their presence on Google Maps, for instance, and that's something that I really want to work on.
Well, there's other things on visitmo.com. You can list events. You know how many St. Genevieve events are listed on visitmo.com right now? 1. We've somehow we can really get our presence out there a lot more. One of the things down at the bottom of new business development of the 2014 calendar, I want to talk about that, and Sandra wants to talk about getting that data available in November so we can post all that stuff during the winter months when the tourism season isn't as active.
Is it a current event, or is it an event that's already passed?
I think it's one coming up. It takes, we got to sit down and take some time to do it, but I think if we can start entering this stuff during December, January, February, when we're not busy on other
Well, all
things.
of our signature events for St. Genevieve that are listed in the brochure, for instance, I mean, those would be a given. Those need to be on all of those sites. And then other events that come up can be added as well.
Well, one of the things I had shared with Sandra some time ago was a listing of just free event calendars that people can put stuff on, and just pass those out this way. One.
Is the goal going to be to get to each of, like, George Fest meeting and whatnot, and they're going to be responsible for posting, or are you you gonna take all that on?
Well, personally, I feel that the tourism director should have responsibility to put the signature events on there. And I would take it a step further and say that I can assist others in getting their events on there. Pardon me?
But you have to know about it.
Right,
Right.
right.
And that's what we want to talk about down when we develop the 2014 calendar. But these are typically local places between St. Louis and Cape that we can post things on and get information. Okay, next item, game plan for the ongoing maintenance conversion of the website. Do you want to just briefly give us an update, Martin, or?
Well, we were waiting for this one company that had a really dynamic, very motion-driven website that we really liked a lot to respond. And we're hoping to get something in. He came in $20,000 and it's beyond our ability. So we have two possibilities based on the responses that we've received over the last several months that we could pursue. Bob has offered to talk to Chuck to see if he's willing to kind of continue for a while, which would give us the option of looking at next year's budget and seeing if we can come up with an amount that allows us to not have to compromise. And while there are people who will do the job for $4,000, look at their sites, they're fine, they're just not special. And I think we deserve that. I think that's kind of where we stand right now. And Chuck says, I really don't think I can do that any longer. We'll have to make a decision.
One thing we had been talking about was kind of a review of the website on the website committee. And I think that is just to sit down with that whole group and saying, this is what we like on the website, this is what we think should change before we do the conversion. And Dina kind of chairs that electronic committee for, and I guess, let's see, Beth's on it and Steph's on it. I think it's that we have there's a number of things on there. We get a lot of good comments on our website, but is there something that we should take off that doesn't really add, put it someplace else or whatever, simplify?
Seems to be a lot of information, and some of it's redundant. And redundant listings can be good, but if you pull out a drop-down menu and there's 9 or 10 choices on there, it's a little bit overwhelming. So we probably need to streamline it a little bit. I'm looking forward to working with you on that. And hopefully we can get some involvement from Kim on that too. She's great skills now.
Yeah, one of the things, and I know we're going to talk next about the visitor guide reprint. Typically, those visitor guides are out of date about 3 days after we publish them. But one of the things we talked about is maybe 2, 3, or 4 times a year updating the electronic version. It makes it a little more current. If you look on the front page or a home page down in the lower left-hand corner, there's a printable visitor guide, and it's a way to keep it more up to date for those people.
Just in my observations over the last few days, I've seen, let's say, out of probably 75 or 80 people that have come in so far, I know that one of them had the electronic version printed out before they got here. So, and I think you're going to see more people doing that because, statistics show that more people are making their decisions online. Some people don't bother to print it,
Just look at it.
yeah, some people, just reference it on their phone or whatever they're going to do, but at least one person had actually printed the online version.
Is there a way to print each page or select a page, Kim?
It should be, I did a PDF, and I think it's an 8, we would reformatted it so it's an 8.5 by 11, and it would just print out multiple sheets.
Okay. And you could go in and, could you go in and select a page if you wanted to?
Yeah, you would tell your printer,
Yeah.
like print page, 3 to 4, or
Yeah.
whatever.
So if you just want wine country, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
While we're talking about that, I think that getting back to the former point of the ongoing maintenance version of the website should include creating a mobile
make it
that-
mobile friendly.
Yeah, and that was included in, I think in the scopes of work, we've talked about
Yeah,
the,
I did meet with Steph, maybe 2 weeks ago or so, and she had brought up that she was getting quotes from the website, and she said they were all going to be designed with remote responsive sites, so they were tablet friendly and mobile, and so I know that those were those bids that she.
visitor guide reprint. Jan, I guess you and Kelly are working on,
Yeah, we had taken the position of, completing the inventory for a long time. And it just seems like there's so much obsolescence in that brochure now that we can't really use that inventory. So we put it on the front corner of our other end. We're going to meet again Monday. We'll be in that someday. We're going to have to, help. But we're going to help you. I'm working on a new truck dummy, but since we've lost 2 lots, and we finally got out to get some new ones in, now we're actually losing. So, things will be changing, but we're going to get to, I think we just kind of want to make a recommendation that inventory and current information.
but we do have that money to reprint in this year's budget, I believe. So we need to,
Just briefly on the brochure, I know that Southbound, they've been out of brochures for probably a month. And, they all pick them up right there before they head to the wineries and stuff. So I would, if we have some overflow.
I took a case out there.
When I talked with Bob and,
Who needs to communicate with who?
they usually call me. When I lived at Weingarten, I would just drop them off if I was driving by there every day. And I don't live out there anymore, so, but they still call me. And I just have to see them all last night, so that's why. I haven't even called you about those pictures.
I think that's one of the things, I know Steph had a list of places where brochures went. I think
I think she had a distribution list.
probably ought to take a look at that, see if that's still valid.
Well, and if they call you and they need brochures, you would send them to the Welcome Center, or you would have the call, if you don't have any, and you told me yesterday you were out too. Obviously, they can call the Welcome Center and stop by and pick it up, or I can drop it off if I'm out there.
Well, I don't know if it's sufficient to sit there and wait for somebody else to call you. You're doing us a favor.
Here's the thing, I don't think they're gonna come in and pick them up either.
I think there's enough people here that we can create a distribution committee, and just everybody take 5 or 6 locations, take responsibility.
Call them every couple of months.
Yeah, or email, because when you look at the list, there's a lot of them that don't have contact information on there. So we need to do that, and it's like Martin says, email them, or how you doing? Do you
Right.
need more?
They go through quite a few of them out there at that location.
I would think they would, yeah.
How many cases do we have?
We have, I know in our office, we have about 4, and the street department has probably another 15 to 20 on hand. And there's 700 in a case.
I know we have a case here that I just keep replenishing on the front counter, but, is it something that somebody wants to take a case and put in the trunk of their car, and if you're driving past somewhere, that would,
That's what we do,
be a
yeah,
place that
usually.
would, just take some into them?
Okay. I will personally make sure that Dina gets a case at St. Mary's Antique Mall, Southbound Fuel, and Dairy Queen. And then if anyone who is
I'm willing,
out.
I'm all over
Yeah.
the place all the time.
Yeah.
I'm willing to take a case or 2 and put them in my car.
I think we need to have a plan.
Well, these are out right now,
Yeah,
and we know
right.
they're out, so there's no reason for them to be sitting there with no brochures to give to people. So we can get these urgent ones taken care of, and then I can pull out what the pre-existing list was and maybe email it out to people so that you can volunteer, just sign up for the ones that are convenient to you.
John?
Do we have an agreement with St. Mary's Education?
Not that,
Because you can't just willy-nilly cross the line.
no,
Because they'll know.
yeah. I think it's a,
It needs to be negotiated at a high level to get a final agreement, because they've been resistant to that. I don't think it's been broached in a number of years, but formally, they were totally told no.
because of their connection to Farmington, or
Right.
their connection to Farmington, antique malls.
So
But
that's
the-
why I said, I start with Farmington, go, but that's not the work.
there's a second site over there.
Joe owns.
Joe? Okay. Well, you may be right, we may have to do that, but, I mean, do we advertise them in our, or mention those?
They're in the brochure.
They're in the brochure, I mean, that's the negotiation point. Yeah, so that's just, might take a visit.
Sure.
Yeah,
Can I ask a question?
yeah.
Dina, does that Phillips 66 station at 32 and B Road, do they still have a blue box?
It's at southbound, it's not at DJ's or DJ's.
It is Phillips
It's
66,
Phillips, yeah.
southbound
Yeah,
is
Phillips
Phillips.
66. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is
southbound.
southbound. Yeah, they still have the blue box, it's sitting outside the front door.
I wonder how many of those are still around.
How many do you still have?
I turned 4 of them back to the city, where there's boxes like this, and they were taking up one whole parking space in my garage.
What are you talking about?
Okay, about,
Oh, okay.
about 10 years ago, we purchased a dozen of these, and I call them newspaper boxes. And we had one on the southbound west area, and one on the northbound. I mean, they've already passed us, but, we put one there, but when that, I don't know what happened to the one on the southbound, because when that was turned into a way station. But we had one down in northbound, down at Westside Perryville, and we had them all over, and we had 4 left, and I think the city probably put them in storage somewhere. But anyway, I just wondered if any of those are still, I thought the one was still there. And you just put brochures in them, so I used to put them in my brochures in my car, put them in that southbound and put them in the northbound. But I didn't see the one in
We need to
northbound.
maybe just have a committee or something and work with, to start really taking a look at how we're distributing it and where.
We even had one, and that, what's that highway that goes from Perryville across, that one?
51.
51.
51, we even had one somewhere along here, I think it was.
KOA.
Yeah.
We also need to have one closed.
Yes, most definitely.
I don't think that they're in the gas station, at the Sea Barn area. And I don't,
I like the hospital with so many women's wellness center because they did a coupon sheet to their like Make Day of It campaign. They did a coupon sheet for certain businesses. So I don't see why they wouldn't put a shadow.
Been closed.
I'll take that one.
Okay. Just another thing to add to the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to volunteer to be on a distribution committee? Okay. You can write down, keep your hand up for a second so she could write it down.
Who else?
No, I'm just kidding.
Stephanie, Jan? Is that it?
Bob said he would,
Yeah.
and myself.
He's dead, he can fly.
Come to my house and get rid of the bats.
Mhm.
I have a thing that looks like a tennis racket. Except you push the button on it.
2,200 volts.
Sounds like Beth's been having fun.
I'm the 100 of the house.
Okay, any other old business? Let's move on to new business then, upcoming events for July.
Hopefully you all received
Beth, I saw this for June, and I didn't know who you were then. I was like, this is great.
There are a few more events in July, so I wasn't able to put the descriptions as much on there, but hopefully people just go to the website or call the Welcome Center and have more information. I'm basically just going off of the events calendar on Group at St. Jim, so sometimes if something's not on there and I don't hear about it, or my horrible memory doesn't remember that someone told me, it won't go on there.
You gotta pay him, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you're
It's
young.
awful. Awful.
And I'm also going to put as many of them as I can in the newsletter that'll be coming out in July.
Yeah. One of the things we talked about was, maybe posting this on our Facebook pages. There's two of them, Visit St. John and St. Genevieve. And also, we talked, if you look at our website, we have kind of it's like constant contact. And I think there's over 100 people that have signed up for that. But this is a way if we could just blurb this out to people, their friends.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a way to get this out to more people. Because this really goes to the downtown businesses primarily.
And, schools and libraries in the surrounding communities,
Yeah.
all the lists of Disney, mostly local.
I know, Sandy, you probably don't have a grasp on this yet. Do we mail out a lot of our brochures?
Yes, we get calls down there every day, and they'll say, can you send me 50 brochures, or individuals who call and ask for brochures.
Would that be an insert?
I got some, we're going to Denver this summer, and it was so nice. They sent me a sheet just like this, and it was very inexpensive. But I could right away pick out what date I'm going to be there, know what's going on that weekend. You know what I mean? It was very convenient.
Also, Sandra, the reason we left the back blank is so that when I emailed them the people to print it out, they could flip it over and print it in their business on the back of
Mhm.
it, or, a
Right.
coupon for their business or whatever they wanted to do, or not.
Sure.
Blank like that. And we wanted to keep it simple so people would be in a ton of what color printed and.
Right, right.
Send us all the downtown shop, the shop.
Yeah,
That-
yeah. I probably need to get your email address so I can put you on the list too.
Sure, it's just scabot, SCABOT, at stgenevieve.org.
Is Saint spelled out?
STE.
STE.
STE.org. And I sent it out as a PDF, is that okay? Or
Oh, sure.
text? I think last time I tried to put the text in the email too, just for anybody who would want that.
For me, that would be beneficial.
Okay.
There's sometimes I think a trick on Constant Contact to put, PDFs can be an issue, but you can convert a Word document to a JPEG and it goes right on.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Next item was Kathy had I know you sent me a suggestion.
It may not be important any longer, but it came to my attention since our last meeting that sometimes just one entity or business in town is aware that a tour is coming. Not the Welcome Center, but let's just say at my shop. Somebody would bring a busload of people just to go to my store, let's say, and that's the only thing they plan on doing. If your business, if the winery knows that people are coming, if you think that that's not common information, tell the Welcome Center, start a round robin, tell a couple of people, so that other businesses and entities will know that a group is coming. What happened in my case was a giant bus pulled up, it was packed with people. I didn't know they were coming, they pulled up right in front of my store, literally. And at that time, I did not have any brochures. But what we can do with the brochures is, if you know there's a group coming, and let everybody else know, that's number one. And number two, somebody run out there, smile, shake those hands when they get off the bus, and give them a brochure. Now, when they go to the Welcome Center, they're going to get it inside. But when they come in, if they stop again in front of my store, what? They're just getting off a bus in the middle of a town. But I think if we could, and ideally, Sandra or one of your staff would be able to run up there, meet a bus, smile, shake hands, and start handing out the brochures, but I think everybody else, if you could, would pitch in and do that too, and that was my only suggestion.
I think one of the things was when there are tours, I know like we had one that came through the church. They had another church come down from St. Louis. It wasn't orchestrated through the Welcome Center. I know we told the Welcome Center that we were going to show up there for a movie, but we need to get that communications is the key. Get it out to the businesses get it into the Welcome Center. That's.
I'm not a preacher to the choir, but Sam Klein, the administrator of the current email distribution list for the school district merchants. So she offers that as a service from her. She says, this message is not coming from me, coming through my computer, but it's from so-and-so. And here's that, here's what they want to get across. She maintains that very well. If you got some bit of information like this, send it to me.
Yeah, I think it's just communications are what's important, and it's friendliness with the tour operators and the bus people.
You know, and the friendliness, I think, is something that Bob and I and Martin talked about earlier this week, just to make sure, and I think, Kathy, with what you're saying as well, is that that there's consistency and friendliness and a genuine welcome and outreach, so that even if they only come here on this whirlwind tour and they're stopping 5 places and going on, you know, to Cape Girardeau or something, we're going to make such a positive impression that they're going to make sure that they come back for their anniversary or their girlfriend's weekend or whatever it is. We want to be sure that they have the very best experience possible. And to the extent that we have the ability to assist in that regard for any tour operators or, thank you, or obviously anything that's coming through the Welcome Center, I know that they have an informal process of making sure that they call all the houses to let them know that someone's coming. But I'd like to increase, just to make sure that things are consistent.
And the businesses should know that they're coming down in the downtown area. I've done a couple of step-on tours recently that it was supposed to be a walking tour, but when the people got here, people were saying, we can't walk 3 blocks, so we end up with buses parked in front of your place because they just couldn't walk from the Welcome Center up. And we're glad to have them in town, but we've had to kind of modify how we're doing things a little bit. Okay. The next thing was the budget for 2014.
So I'm working with Sue Schweiss on the existing budget and the draft budget, and Martin and I are going to be meeting to talk about moving forward. I did note in the notes here, Mike, about getting more involvement and input in that process, so I'll make sure that we address that as is needed. But a lot of the obviously the co-op grant from the state is already predetermined, so that side of the budget, has to be submitted and approved. And of course, as you know, that's been approved for FY14 from the state co-op grant. But we have some discretion and leeway over our local funds, and so that's what we'll be working on in the coming weeks.
Well, I think it's important that by the time you get to the Board of Aldermen, that we all are in support of what you're planning to do from a budget standpoint, and support that at the budget meetings.
Maybe I misunderstood in our last meeting, but I thought that we were told that not just the tourism matching grant money was in the budget, but that everything for 2014 was already cut and dried, because the specific question I know I asked was, you mean we can't even change copy at this point if we wanted to for something? And the answer was, no, it's a done deal, everything's booked, and we're looking at 2015. Is that incorrect?
I think we were talking about ads, right?
Yeah, we were talking about the ads had been placed for the co-op, I believe, for the 2013.
They haven't been placed, but they have to be pre-approved.
Right,
Kim,
just
go,
the
sorry.
space is reserved,
Right.
Yeah.
but like design work or text is not.
And even those spaces can be just.
Right. Yeah, but none of the text or copywriting or photos, whatever, that is all, as we go along.
Kathy, part of the problem is we get money, there's different kinds of money. There is the general revenue, then there's the matching money, there's the budget that's in the department. We've gotten money from the county the last 2 years. We had, the Economic Development Fund gave us money this year. Jerdafet gave some money. There were a couple of other little small things. I think we should advise on the totality of the marketing plan. That's where it gets, and it gets a little complicated, but when we look at where all this money's coming from, what's the best use of all of that? Some of them have some special restrictions, like the Missouri Co-op program. It's got to be 50 miles away. So we deal with that. But then all the rest of the money, what's our plan? And we don't really ever, we haven't in the past talked about that plan.
Oh, I was just going to tell you that Stephanie had stated last month that there was still time to look at ads for Q2 of 14.
Okay.
That there was still time for that, but Q1 was already finished and finalized.
The problem is sometimes these, the time periods, the years, the state's one, city's another one, county's another one, that makes it.
That is a problem.
Yeah.
Particularly if you do it year by year, you'll always be out of sync. So maybe what we need to work on is a 3-year strategy, so that you can anticipate the asynchronicity of the funds flowing, but make sure that we're thinking far enough ahead of time that we don't end up having the tail wag the dog.
I guess I would envision our input is, there's all kinds of advertising. You got print, you got electronic, you got radio, social. What do we think we ought to be doing? We tried several things over the last year and a half. I mean, last year we did some electronic advertising with Belleville News Democrat and St. Louis Post-Dispatch, banner ad. We did a trial with Facebook advertising. And then this year we're on to NPR advertising on the radio. Are we going to get to some kind of comprehensive look at this thing? And I think that's the discussion we'd like to have.
I don't think we ever sat down as a commission or committee and looked back and said, what did we get from NPR? What did we get from Planet? What did we get from Facebook? What did we get from Belleville News? We never sat down.
How do you know that? Unless you have hard leads.
But if you have enough people that say that quarterly meeting, we'd invite people to come, when you say, so give us your input, because there's enough businesses out there that would say, oh, these people came in, by the way, or those historic houses, by the way, we had these people come in and said, I've heard about you on NPR. We don't get, I occasionally listen to NPR, but I listen to my CDs more than anything else, because I'm tired of the commercials. Sorry, but,
NPR has a problem.
no, that's what I mean, I'm tired, well, they do have commercials. They have a sponsor.
You can do some marketing
The thing
in the
about it
next-
is that we
in the
don't
next
ever
one.
look backwards and
Yep.
say, okay, what did we get from this?
We don't need this committee
And I'm
getting
I'm not saying I
hands,
know how,
down in
how
the
to be
dirt
able
about
to
the
calibrate
budget.
that, but we gotta have some input.
I'm sure it's hard to
Yeah,
get
that's what
all the businesses and, there's a lot of entities out there, but if they could all be polled at the checkout, how'd you hear about us? That would just be so great.
Well, and
Just have some data.
typically, as you know, you're not often going to get one response to that. They may have seen a print ad, they may have most recently heard the NPR ad. That's why in the next bullet item, the most important thing is that it is an integrated and consistent strategy and approach. You have to have all of those elements working together, because after you've created enough impetus, enough message that has hit home with the person, they might respond to you at checkout, I just heard your NPR ad last week. But it was the 15 things that they saw and heard and stored in their file of, I need to go to St. Genevieve.
Right, they typically have to hear a message like 5 times or something.
To make
before.
action on it, right. So you
So you
know.
don't know one particular, but at least you would know if NPR kept coming up over and over and over,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good place
You're
to keep
creating,
some of our
right,
dollars.
right.
So,
Right now, I hear billboards over and over. That's what I hear. When will the budget be approved for the city for 2014?
July 8th.
September, maybe October.
Okay.
But you go through
I
some.
have to submit it.
There's some preliminary.
We'll be working on it all of next month and all of August.
Yeah.
But I just think like that meeting that a bunch of us showed up to last time, maybe we when I get the locals and talk about the date.
Right.
So,
And talk to your alderwoman. Okay.
Are we on to marketing?
Yes.
Okay. There are actually certain things, one of those that I just mentioned was integrated marketing communications strategy. That is the formal words for what the approach is. The black items, the 4 numbers here, increased taxable sales.
I can only copy in black and white.
Oh, that's okay. So the numbered items on this sheet, if you have, you might be the only ones with the black copies over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
The numbered items on this sheet, number 1, 2, 3, and 4, those are the goals that have been set for the department in the FY14 marketing plan. And so just in the few days that I've been there, I've read through all the previous materials, and to the extent that I can, try to get a handle on exactly where we stand with this. And based on my background in marketing and business development, if you have a color copy, or if you don't, it's everything besides the things that have a number beside them. So begin with a baseline so that we can measure growth. It must be measurable, and I think certain people have touched on that already this morning. I want to create an impact with an integrated marketing communications plan, and this is what Bob was alluded to, and even, the casual understanding of marketing understands that there are multiple aspects to it that work together to drive the person to take action. I think that's the bottom line. So part of that will be print ads, print media. Part of that will be online, website, event calendars. We've talked about some of those, social media in general, and travel sites. This is someplace where currently we're very thin, I'll say. Signage, we just mentioned the billboards. I'm glad to hear Mike say that he wants to kind of take a look at that, because I think that maybe there's some opportunity there for more consistency and effectiveness. DOT, the mayor just mentioned to me the other day that we may have an opportunity to approach DOT and Missouri Department of Tourism to get additional signage off the interstates through the DOT sign program, so I'm going to be investigating that. Directional signage, we're already addressing that. Kiosks, that was mentioned this morning. Those things are all very important, but they are, except for the billboards, those are primarily things that happen once someone already gets here into St. Genevieve. But still, signage is important because it needs to reinforce the image and the brand that you saw if you read St. Louis Magazine, or if you read the Belleville News-Democrat, or if you saw our website online, whatever it was that got you to get in the car and come here. When you see the sign on the billboard on the highway, you want to make sure that it matches. It's you have a cognitive reassurance that you're in the same place, and that you're following up on the action that was created in the advertising. And then radio, regional ad markets, local PSRs. I think recently for the French Festival, we were very effective in getting some local radio coverage, and they're always very gracious in providing us with that. I think probably we need to maybe take a more strategic approach in using that as an asset, just on our local coverage, because it's just as important to get all of our local citizens participating in these events as it is to pull in tourists. You know, we always talk about tourism, and people have this kind of perception that means somebody else, not me. So there's the whole concept of be a tourist in your own town. You know, come and eat at the local restaurants. Come and enjoy the summer music series on a Friday night. We want to be sure that we're reaching people inside the county and in neighboring counties as well. And of course, our ad dollars are limited for that and have caveats with them. But it's something that I don't think that can be overlooked to create a successful campaign, because if people aren't familiar with all of the wonderful things that there are to enjoy and see and do and experience in St. Genevieve, they're not going to be telling their friends and family when they come in from out of town, and those are just dollars that we're missing, and experiences that we're missing. We want our citizens to be as well informed and enjoying our town as possibly can be. So TV, I think there's probably an opportunity to leverage our festival for maybe some more coverage of media in the area, and encouraging interviews, displays, sponsorship, outreach efforts in general. That all kind of ties in with an integrated marketing communications plan. And one of my goals, as I stated at the beginning, is to really do some outreach and education for our local shops, the B&B owners, the art galleries, the restaurant owners. One of the first things that we're going to be doing, in addition to the Visit Mo, and Bob had a really good list there of the businesses that have taken advantage of a listing on Visit Mo. I want to be sure that I have a current status and that we work to improve the status of the online presence of all of our attractions and local businesses on things like Google Maps, Facebook. Do they have a website? Is it mobile friendly? Are they on Yelp, Foursquare, TripAdvisor? Have they had reviews on TripAdvisor? I mean, the majority of people will make decisions now about where they're going to spend their leisure time based on their internet research. And if you don't have any reviews on TripAdvisor, you are practically non-existent unless they've happened to see this brochure or received it, or walked into a facility where it's caught their eye. By leveraging the online presence, we can create so much more success. And I'm thinking it probably would be beneficial to host a workshop to build skills.
Yeah, we talked about, like, just Facebook. How do you list an event on Facebook?
Mhm.
How do you use Facebook to promote what you're doing? What are some of the little tricks to use, what to avoid, that sort of thing?
Yes, and if you go into a great deal of depth on each one of those, you could host a separate workshop
Yeah.
on every online forum and opportunity. I think the best approach might be to kind of get kind of a baseline, as I said, of where people are now, how comfortable they are with it. It takes a time commitment, but even so, there are management tools out there that allow you to manage all your online media postings with a click. So you don't have to be on Facebook every day to have something post every day. So I think there's probably a lot of strategies and skills that we can help.
We are really underrepresented on the electronic websites and Facebook right now.
Mhm.
And I applaud that goal of increasing that.
Well, and I think that the business owners, I hope, as I said, I want to reach out to everyone. I hope that they will be receptive, and this will be something that they would find valuable in terms of the skills building, and also just in terms for the exposure for their business.
Actually, there was a shop owner who just the other day said to me, she said a lot of us shop owners need help. She said I have it, but a lot of people don't have Facebook pages, websites, anything. She said they just expect people to come in and talk to them, but she's like, they need to be reaching out as well. And I said, well, we should both talk to Sandy, because that's kind of, the small business and helping build that presence. But yeah, they're interested.
Good.
Yeah, she said that has been coming up a lot lately.
Jan, you look like you wanted to say something.
No,
In terms of.
I just made one note on this, and that's as far as hosting the workshop.
Yeah. They were,
Good.
yeah.
Good.
We did pretty good.
Good. And the second goal was increasing the number of overnight stays. That may seem obvious, but it's so important because if we can, as you know, if we can get them to stay overnight, they're having 4 meals instead of 2. They have more opportunity to visit the shops and so on. So anytime that we can leverage that, I think that it's going to be to our advantage. Again, I want to reach out to the bed and breakfast owners for their current data. Obviously, it would be kept confidential and it would not be reported on unless in an aggregate fashion. But I think it's very important to know where we stand in terms of occupancy rates, average daily rate. I need to just get a handle on exactly what the status is coming into this so I can know how I can help achieve improvements or help them achieve improvements there. I would like to listen to owners' ideas, suggestions, and concerns. I want them to know that, and I've already had a lot of very encouraging phone calls saying congratulations, but I've also had some people who have called me and said, I've had these ideas and I've wanted to share them with someone, and I'm wanting to know if you're receptive and open to those. The answer is a resounding yes. I'm not looking backward, I'm only looking forward. And I would say that the St. Genevieve Tourism Program and the Welcome Center is open to hearing your suggestions. So offer tour itinerary information for addition to the owner's web presence. I haven't had an opportunity to review every single property's existing website and see if they already have this, but if they do not, it's something that I think could only benefit them, because if someone realizes that they could stay, 2 or 3 days, because there are many different things that they can see, suggested tour itineraries can really help with that. And obviously invite travel writers to stay here and write. I need to talk with the existing business or the existing bed and breakfast owners and find out if they have made a commitment to offer comp night stays for fam trips. I know that there was some discussion of that. I don't know how far that discussion got, so I'm looking forward to finding out what we can do there. And focusing on group leisure tours to increase not only group visits, but to hopefully promote some overnight stays during the week. As we know, most of the group tours come into town on a bus, they stay the day, and they leave. So if we can increase overnight stays for group tours, that's going to take a lot of moving the bar down the road. The first thing you have to do is to get those group tour operators to realize that there is more than 1 day's worth of activity here in St. Genevieve, and that is an educational process and an experiential process. I think that we can make improvements in that regard, but it's going to be one of those things that you're just going to have to start chipping away at it, and the sooner the better. So I have some strategies here. I want to develop a complete strategy for marketing to tour operators. I have found a lot of individual files and records of tours that have come in. So I'm going to be developing that into a database so that we have a means of communicating directly with these people electronically. And we already have talked about suggested tour itineraries. I feel, and this is really more at like a 30,000 foot level, and hopefully this is something that this committee would be interested in helping with, but in marketing there's a USP, it's a unique selling proposition. Are you a winery with a cave? Are you a boutique winery? Are you a business that specializes in onion rings and steaks? Or are you a business that specializes in lighter fare and salads and health food? Whatever your unique selling point is, you need to know what that is and be pushing it all the time. We've talked about the French Colonial for St. Genevieve. I think that to increase length of stay, we're going to have, like a diamond, we're going to have multiple facets to be able to present to people so that they realize once they're done with the tour homes and the shopping that there are other things that, that continues to unfold. And so one of those that I know is something that we have not tapped into much in the past, although since the levee's been built, there have been some improvements in that regard, and that is embracing the river. And we have the Mississippi River, one of the great rivers in the world at our doorstep, and we really currently do, I would say, 0 to 5% in terms of the potential that's there for embracing that as a selling point, a unique selling point for our position, especially as we look for group tours coming in from any distance, especially international tours. You wouldn't think of South America without thinking about the Amazon, and that's how people think about the United States. You've got the Mississippi River right in the middle of it, and so that's going to obviously take, at a 30,000-foot level, that's going to take a lot more design and development and comprehensive look at that, and across multiple departments and organizations. But I think that there are enough people who are interested in supporting that we probably would get a popular response to that also. Yes.
Don't use river
It's right at our
Thank
levee.
you. Yeah. Thank you.
'Cause it's pretty amazing when the river goes up, how many emails and stuff you get, how you guys doing?
A lot of people get reassured.
Yeah. It's a lesson to be learned, too.
And
Well, ultimately, I had to tell them, don't take 61 going south. But, and that's something that you have to go drive out and check for ourselves. But obviously, we told everybody everything's fine.
Doesn't slow down before that on the website.
They probably do on their website.
They do.
Headlines News has
Well,
put it on their Facebook page.
But Route 61 at Kaskaskia, at the turn, is reported, but not Route 1.
Oh, right.
I describe us as being low and dry.
That's good. That's good. Well, and to that point, I think that there's probably, as you said, people think about that first. And so many people, I mean, as I said, just in the last couple of days that I've been there and welcoming guests and talking with people, saying, where did you hear about us? Where are you from? What brings you to St. Genevieve? So many people want to know where they can drive to see the river. Like they're used to being able to have a lookout at some point, even if they don't even get out of their car. They want to sit there, take a picture. Here's me in front of the Mississippi River. It's a missed opportunity otherwise.
I think people think that our B&Bs and our restaurants overlook the river, so they can just stay and look out their window.
At one time they did.
Yeah, so.
And sandbags too.
Right.
Yeah.
That could be arranged.
So that's, in terms of unique selling points, that was just one thing that I'm just at the very beginning of, and there could be more. And then attracting new markets via internet advertising and social media. We kind of covered that earlier, so I didn't go into a great amount of detail there. And this is, after not even a full week on the job, these are my early thoughts on the process, but I think that there are great opportunities. I realize there are challenges, but I think there are great opportunities, and that working together we can take advantage of more of these opportunities.
Any questions of Sandra on that?
What does IMC stand for?
Integrated Marketing Communications.
And then up under number 1, the MM coverage under TV.
Multimedia,
Okay.
sorry.
And PSR?
Public service, PSAs, it should be, public service announcements.
Okay. And DOT Department of Tourism?
Transportation, I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
These things are just automatic to me, it's shorthand.
Very good. Well, perhaps we should have a work session on the 2014 marketing plan, and then maybe one on the budget, as you kind of get that put together so that we're all together on that.
Sure.
I think I had sent out to everyone something that was in Feast magazine the May issue. And it kind of surprised me. It was an insert, but it was for the city of Ferguson, Missouri. And the front page, the front of it was this, and it listed all the upcoming events for the spring and summer, and then I think all the fall events. And on the back was, they had done obviously some cooperative marketing to put the ad together. They had various businesses. But, and I think I had sent to you previously what Kimswick, their little rack card, which is kind of like what Beth is doing. But when you look at some of our calendars and things like that, we don't have this stuff established early enough and get it on there. And I think we ought to set a goal is to get the plan for 2014 done no later than November. Even if it's just a placeholder, this is what we're going to do on this date, and kind of a brief description, so we can get out there on all these calendars. And, you know, get it, so when people are planning, they can see what's coming up. We're just really underrepresented on a lot of these things. And it's getting information from the organizations that do events. And part of that is you're establishing rapport with them, but I think we can help work on that. There's things not only that are our signature events and some of our special events, these people advertise other smaller things too, things that people can do if they're in here for a day. For instance, we ought to always know what's going on, and they should be able to know what's going on, so it might keep them here a little bit more. But we have very few events for next year posted on our calendar. There's, as I said, really nothing. Even our signature events aren't, for the remainder of the year, aren't on visitmo.com, so.
For 2013?
For 2013. Now, the question is who enters that? Is it the event organizer? And maybe that's sort of the training that we've got to go through, or can the Welcome Center do, if we have that data early enough, can the Welcome Center do it in January, February, before the tourism season starts? But I think we're really missing the boat here. And I know I want to work with Sandra on, and I think we should really push the event community to get this data to her by November. And maybe we've got to go to them with, this is the kind of data we want up front. I mean, just the basic minimum to get on there. I don't know what you all think about that, or.
I don't know how you persuade them all to because they always know they're going to have it, but, you know, it's like, well, they wait,
Yeah.
you know, to do the formal planning, but.
Yeah, but I think most of these things you can do them in increments. As you get more data, you can put more data on to your event as it fleshes out, but at least get those get them listed on there.
On greatriverroad.com,
Mhm.
there's a lot on there. It just says JTBA, but
Right.
there's stuff all the way through next year.
Yeah, but most of those, 90% of them or 80% are to be determined or what?
Yeah.
So you're saying they're there, but the dates haven't been
Like
entered?
Well, and part of it's, I know, like I think they had the Civil War encampment. We only do that every other year. So, I mean, we're gonna have to communicate with, his name's John Tomlinson, and he works with us quite a bit. So, but you're right, we should, that's a very active site. It pops up when you do Google Analytics on
Yeah.
same
At
day.
least people can see stuff is going on, and then they say, oh, when the heck do we go?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because if you're planning your vacation, you know, you want to know.
Yeah. So, and I don't remember now if, you know, if, like during Feb, it's always the second weekend in August, right? I think even that one said.
To be determined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff that I think is.
So they probably have a policy if it doesn't have a date?
I don't know if somebody's
Well-
like copy paste.
Yeah.
Well, I think on our signature event pages, a lot of them do have always like the second weekend in August or what, and it does get confusing. I know we kind of goofed up Garden Walk I goofed it up a couple of years ago because I always thought it was the first weekend after Mother's Day, and one May it got changed. But I think we ought to just specify the date when we can, especially on a site like that.
Who does that?
It's a guy over in Illinois. It's a big site. He for a long time, we were really out of disconnect with him, and it's Great River Roads.
So we don't upload our own information?
No, but we send it, the guy's name is John Tomlinson. He's just establish a good rapport with him and get the information to him. I mean, like when we had the ferry website, I sent it to him, he posted it on their website.
As a resource. He's sort of a resource coordination point.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they're doing a really good job keeping that updated daily. They really are. I thought they would kind of go by the wayside, but they're doing a good job.
Yes.
I think for the purpose of the brochure, because it stays around for several years, the second weekend, full weekend in August, I think when you make people have to think about that, it's not a good idea, especially for a website where you change it every time you make changes, like those dates before the first on the website,
Yeah.
because they don't want to think about it. And like you said, if they're planning a vacation, they're looking to say, we'll be at this place on this day.
Mhm.
If there's something going on, they will know about it. So I think the dates is just the best one for what we use on our brochure. I know that that's a lot of effort.
That's really not.
It's not for the people who are concerned, it's free advertising for the people that are concerned with their event.
Right.
And every event has an event planner or marketing person or somebody that's supposed to be doing that. That would be their job, they just have to do it.
And we need to communicate with them that it has to, at least the preliminaries has to be in by a certain date, so that you can do your job with the advertising. Okay, the only other thing that was on the agenda for new business was election of chairman and vice chairman. It's a yearly assignment. I will open up nominations. Currently, I'm the chairman and Dina is the vice chair.
Second.
What was that, Dina?
I totally approve.
I heard this message.
For 1 year.
Jan, first, second.
Yeah. All in favor? All opposed? I abstain. Okay, how about for vice, anyone who would like to be vice chairman? Any other nominations? If so, I'll close nominations. All in favor of Dina? Aye. All opposed? Very good, thank you, Dina.
Thank you both.
I'm
Good.
going to hand this out during my report.
Okay.
Hand them out.
Yep.
This is something that I meant to hand out during my report, and I kind of got on a roll. Okay. This is a draft, so that's why I wrote draft all over it, lest it leave this room and someone mistake it for the real thing. As you know, there is a large sign that's going to be set up outside the courthouse on the lawn there that will have approximately a 3-foot wide by a little over 2-foot tall adaptation of this draft. And then a smaller one will be installed on a little metal frame down outside the bathrooms in Main Street Park. And so I know that probably this committee and Kim has been here and you've kind of talked about the development of this map so that we would have something to post
Actually,
there.
this came out of the sign committee.
Okay.
Pretty much, and it was really, was a couple of small kiosks, the you are here kind of thing, so, and one was gonna go at the courthouse square, and the other one is at the Main Street Park. But I don't think we as a full committee ever discussed this.
Okay, well, this might be the first time some of you are seeing this. But you know that there have been various maps represented in committee efforts in St. Genevieve, and even in the brochure. And in the brochure, there's a lot of detail in there, and the color, there's color-coded streets and everything. And then there was discussion of a visual memory that people had of the map with the thick black lines. And lo and behold, I found this in a closet down there, the map with the thick black lines. Now, of course, this is outdated because we don't have tennis courts or swimming pool anymore. But this was, by and large, the inspiration for what you see in front of you. And this is just to have the basic attractions, and then there will be an additional legend listed here to interpret, picnic areas and information areas, public restrooms, that kind of thing that you see for the symbols there. But this is kind of the direction that we're going. And Kim, would you like to add to that in terms of
Not really, other
additional?
than, like you said, it was you just found that yesterday.
Yeah.
This was just a quick draft based on
Yeah.
this, the attractions that we were given, and we just need to finish, plugging in the holes. We do have a print quotes, I did get 2 different bids back. Like we did
For the signs,
for the
okay.
signs, and
Yes, Kathy?
Are the symbols universally understood?
Those will be interpreted in a legend in case they are not universally understood.
What's the question mark?
the
Information.
And that one came up twice, you can either do the I for
Yeah,
information, or
I.
you can do the
Yeah.
question mark, and I was gonna ask if you wanted to, so.
But I thought this was
I don't
a
know.
placeholder for yourself.
Right.
See what else goes.
Right.
There was nothing on South Gabbery there.
And
And
that
I
was,
would make this in red.
well, the thing is, when we got on this, it said no color or whatever,
Oh.
and so, but it's not gonna cost anyone to do color versus black and white, the way they print these large formats, so we can go either, depends on how much we wanna put on this.
No question. The majority of the people come in 2032. Could we add the railroad to this, to show, because when they cross the railroad track, they know that it is. I mean, it's just,
I agree.
it's
Yeah.
just a
Visual.
thing that everybody has to cross that railroad track. Once they cross that, Seraphim's here.
They know to start looking for the other streets.
Yeah.
Yes, they start looking for the other streets, but they
Sure.
go, oh, I just crossed the railroad track.
Yeah,
You
that's-
don't have to go showing it, going around.
Except they'll already be there when they see this.
Yeah.
It'll be-
But I think if we use this map for other things, that's a pretty good idea, because it's.
Because it might be online, it would be available online, and then they would print it.
Or you
and-
might put it on the back of the brochure
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
something, so that I pick it up.
Might just do 2 versions.
That's just, everybody crosses that. Once they cross that, they know that they're in this joint district. And the other focal point besides the welcome center is, and I'm not Catholic, is either the courthouse or the Catholic church. Because if you can see the tower of the Catholic church, you know you can find everything else. I mean, you look up and you can see it's a lot here.
Kathy, did you have a?
Yes, I think on St. Mary's Road, you should definitely include the Emerald House as another state house and it's under attractions. And I would also include the Beckett Rebo House, showing that there's a couple of things on that street.
Yep, with the green tree too.
We actually had those on here, but I don't think Kim could see those in the picture.
Well, they
Yeah,
might have
and
been,
it's
they
part
might
of
have been
that
open to the
cutoff, and
public
then
when
they
that
said we couldn't tell 'em
was put
if it
together
was
too.
supposed to be on here or not.
Not the
So-
Beckett Rebo.
so we can add that.
Yeah. So the Beauvais Amaro, but not the Beckett Rippo because it's not open?
Yeah.
Right.
I send people down
They
there all
they
the
can
time.
Yeah.
walk around the outside.
They can, because it's very picturesque.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's actually on the cover of Charles.
Right.
So probably the green tree, too.
It says historic homes of St. Louis, but that was road, it's on the.
One of the things we've
Yes,
been,
and the green tree.
we've been talking about is, we had the visitor guide, but maybe just doing a tear-off sheet for visitors when they come in town. Because we could use this map, we had the description, and we can put a lot more on a 8.5 by 17. And we could do stuff on the back. I mean, we could do a little, a history hunt thing, a word search, or what, you could just do a variety of things on the back and it'd be cheaper to produce than the visitor guide.
I had a lady that emailed me yesterday and wanted to know how she could find some facts about St. Genevieve. How do you know the facts of St. Genevieve? Google it. It's page after page, Autobahn, everybody is on it. How can you be on the internet and not say, Google.
Probably can't spell
Conversation
something.
about St. Genevieve is there. And it's very informative, and it's very correct.
That was a great chance to invite her here to see it firsthand.
So when is this supposed to be done? What was your timeline for this?
We'd like to get it as soon as possible. Definitely, we want it to be up before Jour de Fête. The sign holders are ready now.
Is the courthouse one ready?
Yes.
Okay.
So this could be right.
It could be.
Yeah, we just don't want to put it up and sit there. Yeah, right.
Now, you're gonna have room for a little other
Get
flyers
some
and
content.
like,
Yeah.
Yes, on the one at the courthouse. Yeah.
The courthouse is going to have room to the right of it for additional postings. And I thought was.
Would you want one? Do you want to suggest that we both have one?
Condense it.
Because you're gonna be close
I
to
think the way we
it.
size this, we would print the same size for both
I'm-
frames.
I'm good with
and
that
then
if you want.
The courthouse will left enough room for like maybe 2 or 3 8.5 by 11 sheets going down on the side to the space in there.
We don't want to make it.
Would you
so
want to
big
suggest that
that
Dina and I both have
every day
keys to
changes.
those?
Come up with something that we have to make it 20 days.
Mhm. Sure.
okay, any other new business to come before the council?
Just a quick comment that Main Street Inn is closed today. We'll be able to begin for a week.
Mhm.
Is it the same name?
Yes.
And the Cockerell is probably closed at the end of this month.
There has been, word going around town that Sodom Room is also closing, they are not.
I heard that
They
too.
are not closing.
Okay. Just speaking of word going around town, it was brought to our attention yesterday that there is a major baseball tournament that starts next weekend. So you'll probably have questions about that. We haven't gotten a copy of the schedule or anything like that. I don't know.
It's usually Saturday, Sunday, and we'll need teams for the games, but the St. John JCs, LJCs, Bloomsdale KCs, so it'll just be different age groups all over.
That's something we need to get out to the businesses, that's,
Mhm. They'll be.
yeah.
Mhm.
Question on the billboard, we made this determination in the terms of tax commission, anyone that wanted to put a banner on it, first one to come forward, it's sure that committee. And there's 2 entities here, one is local brewery.
That's not me.
And the other one is Lamar. Lamar is national. So Drury accepts, just a call from me, and so does the other one. But the contract with Drury is, and they're both the same, it's $250. They'll create the banner, they'll put it up, they'll take it down. Our only request was that they take it down within a week of the event, so it doesn't look tacky and it's still sitting there for sure that in September or October. And so they agreed to that, and put it up, whatever they want. I mean, they're gonna put theirs up right now, it's going up as we speak. And the one with Drury is a contract with them, and they already sent them a check. The one with Lamar has to be with us, they won't do a contract with the entity, so it's with us, but either we will send a check and they'll pay us, or they'll send us a bill and they'll just send a check and they don't care what we do.
Could you put together some guidelines
Well,
and?
the only guideline is that it can't cover up anything that says, and most of them are picked to go across the top.
But I'm also saying who to contact, to.
All I have to do is contact the Tourism Tax Commission, and right now,
Yeah.
it's on my president, we okay it. They're a little skeptical about somebody else's sign that says St. Genevieve on, like, let's say, one of the wineries, and let's say, put a banner across yours. That's the only difference.
I'm just so people know what they have to do.
Well, all they have to do is just contact either one of those and say we're from St. Genevieve, and they'll send me an email and I'll okay it.
But how do we get that information out to the people to say, okay, well, this is who you
Well,
contact?
they
And
seem
would it be
to know
better if
about
somebody
it.
contacted you?
We could probably put it in the newspaper, I suspect. to say that there's a banner going up. A banner going up on our two billboards on the highway. If you're an organization, you have a possibility or can do the same for your event. I mean, it's laying it back on the event, but they have to understand that.
And it just, there's a couple of different rules, it sounded like, and I think if you just put a little blurb together, because I think it's a wonderful way to get a lot of exposure to our
Well,
events.
it is, you got 55,000 people driving on 55 a day.
Good idea.
The other thing,
Last point, well taken, because we just finished about $10 acceptable.
yeah. The other thing is, this is the Belleville New Democrat, and I'm probably going to say something that's going to offend some people, but how this came about was, I buy an ad in it every year, so do some other people, and it comes out in the spring and the fall. The Belleville newspaper, as far as sending people going to 14 communities, we get a lot of people from those communities staying at the practice, as well as show me shoppers, how they give. Bev Donzie tells me she gets them. And so I always buy an ad in there. But what happened was that this person called our previous tourism director, and she said, we don't have any funds and we're not going to buy anything. And the meeting after that, before this commission, council, she did not bring it up as an opportunity. So nobody knew about it. And then 5 weeks later, she called me and she said, are you going to take an ad out? I said, yes, I am. I'll take an ad out every year. And so she said, well, I called Stephanie, and Stephanie said, no, I don't have any money. But she didn't bring it before this committee, or this group of people. And so I said, well, let me contact the commissioners. So we did it through a phone. And I talked to each one of the commissioners and I asked them, how do you feel about it? Well, they thought we should buy an ad. So this, I'll pass this around. This is the only one I've got left. If you haven't seen it. And so we actually bought this portion right here. Okay.
The tax commission?
The tax commission did. It was $500. Now, for me, for $500 is a no-brainer because we're actually advertising 8 weekends. And the reason why we advertised the music festival. The other thing that happened was when this came up, I approached, or actually he approached me at the time when we talked about it, Microtel. And he said, don't put us in there. We're not an attraction. Every town of any significance has a motel or a Super 8 or a Microtel. So he said, don't waste the time of putting us in there. But he said, I suggest that you put the bed and breakfast in there. So we took it right off of the website. The only change I made to it was that one of the buildings said it was 1789, and I asked the city, and it's actually 1817, but they put 1812. You can't have a stone house before the stone masons are rock. So I tried to make it accurate. The other thing we put in there was our, off of the website, our main events. And we elected not to take verbiage and tell about each event, just give the dates, simply because it takes up too much time to do that. So, and the other thing we wanted to say, and I would have wished we would have put it in broader print, was the little thing above the events, in that the main events that says, you know, and this was suggested by Ron Andrews to say, you know, to visit our historic homes, our wineries, and our bed and breakfasts. They gave us all the rest of that, which I didn't have anything to do with putting that other portion on there. And I did have somebody tell me that she was a little upset because she couldn't buy an ad. But we worked that out between us. And I'm not selling ads, but I've told Ms. Auditor that she needs to approach more people in town to buy more ads, because it makes a statement. Mr. Jim. Yes, sir. You got 10 minutes to get here.
I will tell you that
Okay.
the summer series, we have sold over 70 tickets because of that,
Well,
just from the Belleville area.
yeah, here's the whole idea. The idea is that for $500, we got to advertise 8 weekends. Whereas sometimes you'll spend $500 for just, and Genevieve is doing that for the banners. They're spending $500 just for the banners for one weekend. So you see, it was a good purchase for us.
But I think, that's where we've got to all be together.
Yeah, and
As part of the-
and I'm sure if that call would have come through, and Sandra would have gotten that, she would have said, well, I don't have any funds right now, but let me bring it before the council, or let me call the tax commission, because our funds are tied to that. So everyone understands, our funds have to be spent to bring people to the community. In other words, we couldn't pay for the new signs that went out around town. We can't pay for that. They're already here. We can't pay for something that's handed out in town. But for something to bring people to the community, and that's by legislature of the statute of the state. That's something to do with us. So if you have comments about that ad, I'd like to hear about it, because I've showed that to a lot of my guests. And they looked at the whole folder and they said they liked ours. I said, I didn't design it. Give me credit for it. I didn't design it. But they designed it, and some of them have too much verbiage. I hope this one doesn't. We're trying to give a lot of information out.
Like I just said that we've sold over 70 tickets in the Belleville area for summer series. We don't know that.
Yeah.
And they've told us, they always seem to your schedules and line up in the Belleville and things like that.
Well, one of the things we had talked about before is the community kind of needs to know when you're going to place an ad. When does it have to be in? Do they start bundling things if they want to around that ad? But they can't know it after it happens, after it's going to go already locked in. You got to know beforehand. We got to submit it by then. Do you want to participate?
And the problem.
And it also helps us to know when the ad's going to come out, so you can kind of track. I mean, you can watch Google Analytics, and if a magazine comes out on a day, you can see if there's a jump.
Well, I was 5 weeks behind on even saying, yes, we'll do it, and I only had like 3 days.
Yeah.
3 days to put it together.
Someone else told me that someplace it says Wind Diva. I heard it was on the website, Wind Diva. I thought it was like a kite flying thing.
Mariah Carey was
But, very good. Anything else?
Mike, thank you.
Yeah.
Belleville News Democrat is, I think when you were on the phone, Kim was pointing out, that's a publication that back in the day, when we first started the co-op grant, we used to do a lot of advertising with them, because they're well-loved. It's a community that travels, that whole area. Those people like to get out and about, so.
And they don't even care if the ferry's not running.
Well, they're coming across the JB
They'll
Bridge,
come
yeah.
JB or they'll come Chester. So, they put 2 of these out. You see, when we did the Facebook, we did the Belleville area because it took in St. Louis and all of those communities, and we did Wentzville, which took in the West County, part of, St. Louis County. And so it's a no-brainer for us knowing that, you get a lot of people too. Looking at the one thing you said about giving data from, say, the bed and breakfast, I could give you all the data you want on zip codes.
Great.
In fact, I've done that before. And sometimes after I get done doing it for a year, I'm amazed that it's not Rush or Rose and Kirkland. It's Belleville and West County, St. Peter, St. Charles, O'Fallon, and Winston. Two days. This is why,
Okay, anything else? No? Thank you all for, you have your hand up there?
I don't know, yeah, I'm ready to motion to adjourn.
Oh, okay.
Are there not going to be any committee reports?
I don't know. There's a motion to adjourn, need a second?
Second.
That, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?